Good morning. Welcome to Friday morning's thought for today. This has been a heavy week of fairly heavy teaching, and we just want to draw to a close today as we think about the family who came to reclaim Jesus. This story started off with Jesus at home. We don't quite know what that meant. Maybe it just was a reference to the house that he was staying at, the place that he'd made his base. But we know that his family had come to this place because they felt that there was an issue with Jesus, that he wasn't maybe looking after himself properly, that he was maybe doing things that maybe was bringing shame to the family, and they wanted to try and contain the situation and bring him out of it. We know that because we read in verses 20 and 21, "Then he went home and the crowd gathered again so that they could not even eat. And when his family heard it, they went out to seize him, for they were saying, 'He's out of his mind.'" And then towards the end of chapter 3, we read, "And his mother and brothers came, and standing outside, they sent to him and called him. And a crowd was sitting around him, and they said to him, 'Your mother and brothers are outside seeking you.' And he answered them, 'Who are my mother and my brothers?' And looking at those who sat around him, he said, 'Here are my mother and my brothers. For whoever does the will of God is my brother and sister and mother.'" So there's this strange situation going on. It's almost like there's family business going on, and Jesus is mixing his work and his family together, and people who are sitting around are hearing him saying things about his family, and maybe they're wondering, goodness, that's a strange situation. Jesus' family are outside, and he's inside with us, and he's maybe needs to go to see his family, and he needs to know that they're here. So they pass on the message: your family's outside, your mum and your brothers are outside waiting for you. You better go and see them. And Jesus, instead of going, "Oh, okay, good, okay, well listen, we'll call it quits for today, same time tomorrow, but I need to go." And Jesus doesn't do that. Jesus basically says, they're outside, you're inside, but let's not call them my family, because they are my brothers and my sister, my mother, etc. But more than that, my family is a far bigger thing than you maybe fully realize. And he basically went on to say, those people who are prepared to accept me, because he's just been rejected by the scribes and the Pharisees, he knows why his family are here, and he feels that they haven't accepted what he's doing. But he's basically saying, anybody who's prepared to accept me, well, I regard them as my family, because they are part of what I'm doing. They understand me. They get me. They understand what this is all about. And so some people have said, well, Jesus was being really rude to his family. He was being really cruel to his family. Who would say that to their loved ones? But he wasn't saying it like that. He wasn't trying to be cruel. He wasn't trying to in some way dismiss them and tell them, clear off. I don't want anything to do with you anymore. But he was basically trying to make a point that anyone who accepts him, anyone who works with him, anyone who understands what he's doing, anyone who's prepared to give themselves over to his teaching is part of his family. And then we thought about this on Christmas Day, the idea of not being able to spend Christmas or the time around Christmas with our families. And our real family, if we are believers in Jesus Christ, our real family is those other believers. And that's probably the biggest family in the world. And yet, what does it mean to belong to a family, this sort of family? Well, I think it means a lot more than belonging to an earthly family. We have got a family now that stretches into eternity. The folk that we're with in our churches, maybe in our small groups, maybe in our circle of friends that we spend time with, those people who are followers of Jesus Christ are actually going to be spending eternity with us. We are to love them in spite of how they treat us. We're to love them regardless as to how we feel about them. We are to understand them as people who are saved with the same grace we've been saved with. And we're all in this together. And we're to love each other. We're to serve each other. We're to share the burden of life with each other. And certainly a lot of that's been happening through 2020, especially during the whole COVID time, and when we were locked down and people were making phone calls and checking everyone was okay, and people had got enough food and prescriptions and etc. But there's that sense now we're into 2021, and we know that the numbers are still very high, but we also know that there's a vaccine coming. And there is coming, we trust, a day when the vaccine takes hold and things change, and there's a temptation for us to become maybe a little bit more selfish. It's easy when we're all going through the same sort of storm together. It's easy for us to think about others. But we need to start focusing on what it means to come out of this storm, come out of this pandemic. We come out of it looking after each other, showing that same care, love and concern for each other, because we are brothers and sisters in Jesus Christ. And we are going to be spending eternity with each other. And so I encourage you to not somehow feel that because it's all going to come to an end soon, we don't have to worry about each other. We need to worry about each other even more and look out for each other and care for each other and share that burden with each other, because we need to be able to move forward with each other into this new year. So Jesus wasn't dismissing his family, he wasn't being nasty to them, but he was trying to explain in a greater sense what it actually means for you and me who trust Jesus Christ to belong to a bigger family and the responsibilities that come with that. Hopefully you've been able to follow us and understand in this quite a heavy week we've been looking at. But trust you have a good weekend. God willing, we'll see you at church on Sunday. And if you've been working hard all week, hopefully you'll have a good break over the weekend. Keep looking out for each other. Keep loving each other as brothers and sisters in the Lord. And we'll see you soon. God bless.